Sexual reproduction begins with pollination, meaning synthesis of pollen. Okay, so when you read through this, one pollen grain containing 3 haploid nuclei. Okay, so 1 tube nucleus and 2 sperm nuclei lands on the sticky stigma of the flower. All right, so what they do is like, okay, this is the pistil, right? Okay, so the female part, and then the sperm actually lands here, like this, okay? And this actually contains 3 nucleuses like this, okay? So it enters here, but only 1 nucleus actually enters here. You know what I mean? Okay? So it actually goes through the way that's called style, okay? So it goes through the style, and then the sperm actually goes through that pathway, okay? And then the pollen grain absorbs moisture and germinates or sprouts, producing a pollen tube that burrows down the style into the ovary, right? The 2 sperm nuclei travel down the pollen tube into the ovary. Once inside the ovary, the 2 sperm nuclei enter the ovule through the micropyle, okay? So actually 1, okay, and then another nucleus goes down, and then they go through double fertilization. So one of the nucleus here actually meets one of these guys, okay? So this is the ovule, the female egg, right? Okay, and here 1 sperm nucleus meets these guys, okay? So N plus 2N actually becomes 3N, and this becomes polar bodies later. All right, and this one actually fertilizes with another sperm nucleus, okay? So sperm comes here, okay, producing 2N embryo. You know what I mean? Okay, so it actually occurs by double fertilization, okay? So number 1 is going to be sperm plus ovum actually producing embryo, and then sperm plus 2 polar bodies actually produces 3N, and that's called cotyledon. Done. Okay, so that's for the food for the growing embryo. All right, so once you read, 1 sperm nucleus fertilizes the egg and becomes the embryo 2N, and the other sperm nucleus fertilizes the 2 polar bodies and becomes triploid, and that's called endosperm or cotyledon. Okay, and that's going to be the food for the growing embryo. All right, and that's the double fertilization that occurs in flowering plants. Okay, so as a result, what happens is this actually develops into the seed, this part actually develops into the seed, okay, and this entire part actually develops into the flower, into the fruit, okay, so this itself becomes fruit with the seed inside, okay. So when you were to look at the structure of a seed, let's look at a picture. Okay, so before we look at the structure of a seed, first of all, let's look at the life cycle of a plant like this. So here, in the ovary, you're producing ovule, right? So in the ovule, you have this kind of structure, right? And through the style, actually, sperm transports in towards the ovule, fertilizing twice, okay? So fertilization occurs, and then you have a zygote and endosperm. Then endosperm develops here, that's going to be the nutrient, and also you have a seed coat and embryo. So seed coat and embryo is going to be 2N, and endosperm is going to be 3N, okay? Please refer to the printed version of this handout. Okay, and then if the seed germinates, then it's going to become a plant again, and then it's going to fertilize again, like that. Okay, so that's what they do. Okay, and through meiosis at the male part, which is the anther, then they go through meiosis. They form sperms, which is pollen. Okay, and these 2 nucleus actually go down the style. Okay, the thing that we talked about before. Okay. And then let's talk about the seed structure. So when you were to look at the seed, so out of this, okay, then this actually further develops into the seed. So when you look at inside, they have a few different structures that's called epicotyl, hypocotyl, and cotyledons, okay? So epicotyl basically is So when you look at page 199, okay, it's going to be shown here. So epicotyl actually becomes the upper part of the stem. So epicotyl and hypocotyl actually develops into the stem, but epicotyl actually grows into top part. Okay, and hypocaudal becomes the lower part of the stem.